Dude, I just like failed this test and now I feel like I'm not gonna pass the class at all. Like I studied for so long, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like I studied for so long and now I don't know what happened. I did bad on the test. Like, what do you want me to do, man? Is this you? Did you just fail tests that you feel like you studied really hard for? What if I told you that this happens a lot? And in fact, it's happened to me. I study for a lot for almost every test, and I usually don't get the perfect grade or even the grade that I was hoping for. So how can you come back from this? How can you rebound? How can you make sure that this never happens again? Hi, my name is Wiley, and in today's video, I'll be covering a few test-taking tips and things that you can do to rebound from a bad test grade and ensure that it never happens again. I feel like I said never happens again too many times, but I'm just gonna run with it. Also, I'm still a little sick, so if it sounds like I'm holding back a cough or that I have to blow my nose, it's because I ran out of tissues and I'm sick.
I'm going to the store after I record this, but just for the sake of this video, that's what's going on. I have some napkins I've been using.
Right off the bat here, I'm just going to jump into some testing, Right off the bat here, I'm just going to jump into some test-taking tips that I think everyone should know by now, but if you don't, I'm just going to run through them really quickly. First thing that I do when I get to a test, when it's placed in front of me, is I just write my name and the date. And I don't know how many of you play tennis, but right before you serve in tennis, you always have this kind of ritual that calms you down and makes you focus on the ball and where you want to place your serve in the opposing box. Yes. Anyways, writing down my name and date is pretty much just like that ritual in tennis before I serve. It's calming me down, it's telling me, okay, it's time to get ready to take this test, and you need to kind of settle down, settle your nerves a little bit, and lock in. After that, I kind of just scan the test. I look over the whole thing. I don't answer anything yet. I take note of what questions look hard. I kind of look around for easier questions, and then I'll flip back to the front and I'll start the test. Now for my first go through of the test, I will usually look for any questions that look super easy, and I'll get those done out of the way immediately. If there are any questions that I think, yeah, I can do this, but it's gonna take me a really long time, or I'm not 100% certain on this answer, I'll put a little star next to it, or I'll circle it or something, and then I'll come back to it later. But for the first pass, I really just try to get every single answer that I can down, that I'm 100% confident that I know. I need to be totally sure that my answer is the correct answer on that question, or else I'm gonna put a little star next to it and come back later. Now the second pass through the test, and I should say I take about 3 or 4 passes through the test every single time I take any type of quiz or test or assignment or anything like that. I usually look at it 3 or 4 times. And my second time through here, I'm looking for questions that I'm pretty sure, like I'm 90% confident I know the answer to, but maybe it would take me a little bit longer to figure this out, or maybe I think that there might be a trick question in here or something that I wasn't considering, when I was scanning through it, that might delay my time in figuring this out and might take up a lot more time on, on the test. If there's like a limited time to take the test, then I usually consider that more, but if you have infinite time, then obviously you can go question by question, like it doesn't really matter. So then on the third pass, I'll start looking at questions that I had absolutely no idea how to do. My script just went away from the screen here. There we go, it's back. But like I was saying, on the third pass, I'll look at questions that I literally didn't even study at all. Like no matter how much I study for each test, there's always at least 1 or 2 questions that I'm just taking a total shot in the blank. That I'm just taking a total shot in the dark at. I said usually there's 1 or 2 questions. I would say like every few tests there's a question like that, because I do study pretty thoroughly and pretty well. It happens, you're gonna get stuck on a couple questions, and that's totally okay. It's nothing to, to sit there and stress about or pull your hair out about. Just keep that in mind. Do the best that you can on every question, even if it's a total guess answer, or sometimes I draw a little dinosaur if I have literally no idea what the answer could be. All right, now let's say you finish your test and you are just not feeling too good about it. You get your grade back and, oh no, you were right, and it was a terrible grade. You failed the test. Let's say you got like a D minus. So you're close to failing, but you're not quite, and it's just not what you wanted at all. It's a pretty bad grade, to be blunt. A D minus kind of sucks. And you need to get that better, because you either have to pass that class, or maybe your parents are yelling at you to get a better grade, or maybe you're just really putting pressure on yourself that you need to see some improvement. All of those things are totally okay. Getting a D minus and wanting a better grade is honestly what to expect. So just because you got 1 D minus, or maybe you aren't the great test taker in the world, like it's not a bad thing. It doesn't make you a bad student at all, or a bad person, or a not smart person. Like everyone gets a D minus at least once in their lives. It happens. You'll survive. You're still alive. You're still breathing. You're okay. There are some things that we can do to make it a little bit better. And that's what we're jumping into right now. Wait, what's a cool transition that I can do here? Fire transition now.
Fire transition now.
There is the fire noise for you. All right. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is look for any retake or extra credit opportunities available, whether that's just going through and correcting your old questions, or maybe your professor teacher, makes you take the entire test again. One of my teachers in high school used to just make us retake the test with the questions we got wrong. And I think that's honestly one of the best ways to do a retake. So if you're a teacher watching this, think about that, because it's the students' knowledge, like proving that they know. Wow, never mind. I'm just gonna scrap that. But teachers, you should definitely do that. And then if there is no makeup test, if there are no points, like optional points that you can get back, I would strongly suggest that you still go through and correct all of your mistakes, all of your incorrect answers, because those questions are bound to show up on the final or on another mini assessment. Maybe they pop up in a question for an essay or for an in-class assignment or something. Like, the questions that you got wrong are going to be crucial to the class, and you probably got them wrong because A, they're hard to understand, B, they were just so obvious and simple you didn't think you would have to study them, or C, they were just kind of hidden in the curriculum and you just didn't get to them. Any of those three reasons, like, they're going to show up again, they're going to pop up again, and you just need to make sure that you can be ready to answer them at that time. So for me, usually what I do is if I get a test back and I'm like, okay, I didn't do very well, I got a few crucial questions wrong here, so I'll just write down like what I got wrong, what the correct answer is, and then why my answer is wrong compared to the correct answer. What did I do wrong that got me, the points deducted on that question. All right, and the final thing that you can do to improve your skill with test taking and to ensure that you never get a terrible grade, a D- or an F, or maybe even a C on a test again, is just to improve your study habit. And while I do have some videos about, better study habits than others, I picked out a few for this video that I thought were more oriented towards,
the test, sitting down in the classroom, you have an hour and 20 minutes to finish this test. You need to go through like with a pencil and eraser and just flip through the test, that type of test taking environment. I picked out a few study habits that I think are going to be most successful when attempting to complete a test like that. And my first tip here with studying is to make a study guide. If you've been taking notes the entire semester or the whole year in preparation for this test, then you have the ability to combine and condense all those notes into a smaller area or into a smaller amount of paper. You know what I'm trying to say. I'm not really sure why I can't find the right words for it, but you're just trying to condense those notes that you've taken all year into a more like accessible, understandable study guide that you can use to prep for the test. For example, in my notebook with trees on it, I don't know if you can see the trees. I'm from Maine, so these trees make it feel like I'm still in Maine because I miss it. I miss it so much. I'm kidding. Well, I'm not kidding. I do miss Maine, but these trees don't make me feel like I'm there. I have an exam tomorrow, actually. Sorry, I'm using like a rodeo mic, so you can probably hear all the paper stuff I'm doing. But I have an exam tomorrow at 11:20 a.m., so wish me luck if you see this before then. But this is what my study guide looks like. So throughout, I have a lot of notes going on in this notebook. I'm not going to show you all the notes because that wouldn't really be useful in this video, but I took a lot of notes in here for the exam that I have tomorrow, and I've condensed it down into 3 pages. I still have a couple more pages to write, but I've condensed maybe 15 pages of notes down into what I hope is going to be around, 5 pieces of paper. Handwriting 5 pieces of paper might seem like a lot to you, and if handwriting isn't something that you like doing, do it online. Make a bunch of Google Doc pages for you. Make a slideshow of all the information you've learned. Find some way to condense the information that you've learned from the class and all the notes that you've taken, and just find a way to condense them down into a smaller, more understandable format. Format, that's what I was looking for earlier, that word. But yeah, for me, I like to handwrite my study guides. I have another one here from a test earlier this semester. It's just a little quiz, so this is only 2 pages of notes. But for me, I like handwriting things. You don't have to handwrite things if you don't want to, but I'm just saying, try to condense your notes down a little bit. And that's a long time that I just spent talking about study guides. Hopefully you guys aren't falling asleep yet, because I know I'm such an intriguing and interesting guy to look at and watch. Anyways, another thing that I like to do is create practice quizzes and practice tests.
If you have the quiz that you failed at, if you have the test that you didn't do well on, look at it, look at how those questions are set up, and create some questions for yourself that kind of mimic the same requirements that the questions you didn't do so well on are asking for. Maybe it was a math question that required like 6 or 7 steps for you to figure it out. Ask ChatGPT to create another question for you like that. Ask your professor for a couple practice questions. Ask a TA or a friend or something, and try to go as in depth as possible with them. Whenever I make myself a practice quiz or an exam, I always try to add a how or a why to all of my answers, because that proves that I have a more in-depth understanding, and that if I'm asked to elaborate on it, then I have that ability. A helpful thing with, when I talk about depth is having a friend ask you questions about your answer, because that shows your ability to kind of use the information that you've learned and adapt it to your own answers and to create something original. Because come the test, you're going to need to know how to kind of, be quick on your feet and adapt to any type of question that comes your way. Even if you don't know the answer and you can only give like a half, I was gonna use a bad word there. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, you can only give half the answer because you don't really know. But just being able to kind of make your answer sound like you know about something is also really important. So, being able to explain some of it is a lot better than knowing none of it, right? Honestly, in today's testing world, it's most important that you just stay calm and organized. So just taking a breath before you get into the test and flipping through all the questions and knowing that you're going to survive the test. It's not going to kill you, even if you get a bad grade. And once it's over, it's over. It's just those things that are super important for you to remember. If you guys have any questions, please let me know down below. If you don't, totally fine too. I hope you guys do well on your next test and or quiz. And if you have any questions, please let me know about it down below. I already said that, so I'm going to end the video now. Goodbye, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.